Laxasia the Complete is not only one of the toughest bosses in Lies of P, but arguably one of the hardest bosses in any Souls-like. And if you're struggling to get past her, you are definitely not alone. But with this strategy, anyone, literally anyone can beat her. And this is all without cheese, without spamming throwables, and without using Specters. Just straight up strategy and good old fashioned gameplay. Hey everyone, I'm Chaz. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If nothing else, I'm glad Laxasia could bring us together. But now let's talk about how to beat her, by keying in on a few different moves from both phases 1 and phase 2 that we'll be able to recognize, predict, and take advantage of. And then I'll walk you through my actual gameplay where I defeated her in real time. But before we jump into phase 1, let me first walk you through my build going into the fight. But I do want to emphasize that this is going to work no matter your build, no matter your weapon, or no matter what level you're at. So the build and the weapon that works best are the ones that you're most comfortable using. Now I'm running an advanced build, so I have most of my points poured into that. I did also recently respec my character to put some more points into capacity to get my weight down, but if you don't mind being slightly heavy, that's also not super important. And for my weapon, I'm using the acidic crystal spear blade and handle upgraded to level 10. Now Laxasia is weak to acid, so if you have an acid weapon that you like using, or an acid abrasive grindstone, it can give you an advantage. I happen to like this weapon for this fight because of how quick it is, but that's just my personal preference. And for amulets, I'm using the blue guardianship amulet, the life amulet, the murderer puppets amulet, and the leaping amulet. And I'm using defensive parts that protect me from shock and physical damage because Laxasia has the ability to deal quite a bit of both. So let's break down phase 1. We want to try to get through phase 1 as quickly and efficiently and with as much health as possible because we're probably going to need it going into phase 2. So in order to do that, here's a couple things we want to do. First is to be aggressive, like really aggressive. I like to use a lot of charged heavy attacks in the first phase. And once you're able to identify the best windows for attack, you should be able to get off your charged heavies with no problem. Next, we'll want to be able to key in on a few particular moves that we'll be able to take advantage of. First is this overhead swing move. Laxasia will swing her sword up over her head, it'll charge up with a lightning bolt, and once it's done, we'll want to come around the other side and attack from the back. If we do it right, we can usually get a couple of really good hits in. There's also a variation of this move that you'll want to look out for. She'll swing her sword around above her head, but instead of charging the sword at the top of the swing, she'll sweep it down, and then follow up with an unblockable. I like to treat this move pretty much the same way. When we see her start to swing her sword, I'll move into it, dodge through the swing, and come around behind her, but just make sure to keep a little bit of distance so she doesn't hit you with that unblockable, and then once that move's completed, you can charge in to deal damage. The next move is this sweeping sword lightning move, which she does a lot. She'll drag her sword around the ground and charge it up with a bunch of lightning. Now when she starts this move, I like to run across the lightning to make sure that I'm behind her, and then get a little distance to wait to see what she does next. This move is always going to end one of two ways, and it depends on where she stops her lightning swing. If she does a full swing with her sword ending up behind her, she's going to follow up with a big sword slam. And then that move always ends in one of two ways. She'll either charge up a big lightning blast and then do an unblockable, or she'll do the big slam and launch into a flurry of attacks. I find it's best to just keep some distance from this move until she does her final unblockable, and then I'll charge in to deal some damage. Now the variation of this move is when she doesn't fully swing her sword around. She'll stop short and then do a follow-up with a big swing, but this move isn't over yet because then she'll do a really delayed swing where she'll come in from the other side. I like to parry this one if you have the timing down, and then I can quickly follow up with some charged heavy attacks. Now there are a lot of other moves in phase 1, but these are the main ones that I look out for, so let's actually go through phase 1 and put it all together. Okay, now starting the fight, she'll always start one of two ways. She'll either run in and push you with her sword, or she'll do a jump attack. I like to just ease in. Both of those moves are pretty easy to parry, even though I missed there. She goes right in with the overhead swing, catches me, get a couple hits in. And then she goes in with this 13-hit flurry attack. If you're not in the right position for this move, you could definitely be in real trouble here. I like to just kind of keep some distance, and you can kind of dodge through the attack and get in behind her. Sword push attack, easy to parry, getting some good hits. right back into the overhead swing, to the side. Get some charged heavies, break the shields. And I'm trying to be really aggressive here. Probably a little bit too aggressive, but I feel like I've already kind of got her on the ropes a little bit. Oh, kick I wasn't ready for. When she drops her sword back like that, she'll do kind of that lightning charge either 1 time or 3 times. It's pretty easy to just dodge out of the way, just hit dodge and move. A little too aggressive there. This is the variation of the overhead swing where there's no lightning attack and it ends with the red. Let's just kind of keep a little bit of distance and then you can move in. And just like that, on to phase 2 with 8 heals left, so feeling pretty good. Okay, now once we've got through phase 1, the easy part is over. Laxasia is faster and much more aggressive in phase 2, but on the plus side, she doesn't have her armor, so you have the ability to deal more damage. Here are my keys to phase 2. First off, you have to absolutely nail the opener. The bulk of the damage you do to her in phase 2, you're gonna want to happen within the first 30 seconds of the fight. If you do this right, you can get her health down anywhere between 75 and 50% right off the bat, which is an awesome start. So you'll want to start phase 2 with a plan of attack. Now of course this is going to differ based on your skill level, your weapon, and just your overall playstyle, but here's what I do. She's always going to start out the fight the same way by charging up and flying in the air. This is going to give you time to heal and grind your weapon if you need to. And then she'll fling 6 lightning bolts followed up by a red unblockable attack where she charges in. Now if you're good at the parry timing, you can send these back to her which will deal damage, and you can block her red attack when she flies in. Personally, I'm terrible at the parry timing for these lightning attacks, and if you miss even just one, it can throw off the entire sequence. So I'll be using the Perfection Grindstone, which is going to activate Perfect Guard just long enough to block all 6 lightning bolts and her red attack. Then, once she flies in, I'll be using my Fable Art right away, which should be charged up and ready to go. Now once the battle begins, you'll need to learn her moveset, but because she's so fast, this can be particularly tricky. I found that the best ones to predict and prepare for were her jump attacks. She has a few different ones, and if you get these right, they're gonna really be some of your best chances to deal damage. The most common one is where she'll jump up and throw either 1 or 2 lightning bolts. If you're able to parry these, you'll do a decent amount of damage, but these come in really fast so the timing can be tricky. If you watch her, she's essentially flinging the lightning off the tip of her sword. So you'll want to try and block as soon as you see her start her swinging motion. And if you're close enough to her when she lands, you're usually able to get in a couple of additional hits. Next up is this one that I call the jump and thrust, where she'll basically jump up and lunge towards you. You can usually spot this move pretty quickly because she starts out leaning in and moving forward. I like to dodge towards her, and then once she lands, I can usually get in a couple of good hits from behind. But sometimes she does follow this up with a red attack where she'll swing her sword and it'll charge and come down and do an AoE, so you'll want to be on the lookout for that. Next is one that I call the jump and charge, where she'll jump up in the air and just hang out for a while before coming down really hard. The timing on this one can be a bit tricky because of her delayed landing, so I just like to sit back and watch, and then once she starts to descend, I'll dodge right away. Usually I'll try dodging away from her because this one also has a pretty big AoE. And lastly, when you have her health down, usually about a quarter of the way, she'll fly up and do her opening move again with the 6 lightning bolts followed by the red charge attack. Except this time, she's usually a lot closer, so it all happens much more quickly. Okay, so now let's walk through phase 2 and see it in action. Now right away here, I'm going to use my regular grindstone, followed by the perfection grindstone, and then pop health just to be safe, lock on. Hold down block through this entire series, and once she charges in, I'll go right into my Fable Art and get a couple of heavy attacks in there as well. That's a ton of damage right out of the gate. Probably could have done a little bit more. She pops up and does some lightning. She goes up again in the air. She kind of looks like she's going to lunge right in, but she just hangs there. So I wait, dodge back, watch out for the AoE. I don't normally run in and get some hits there, but I was feeling risky. She usually does those melee combos of 3 or 4 hits. Lightning, get one, miss one. And then she lunges forward, roll forward, get a couple hits in behind her. She goes into that red unblockable. It's got a really big AoE lightning attack there. Up in the air again, more lightning. Missed. Usually when she does that move, she'll charge in for some melee. I usually just dodge, you know, in the direction of the attack. And usually you can kind of block or move out of the way of those attacks. Her health is about a quarter of the way down, so yeah, she jumps up and does this lightning attack again. Parry, parry, miss, parry, miss, kind of miss. Parry, nice, got it. Immediately charge in, just do as much damage as you can. Get the stagger window there. Now once you stagger her both in phase 1 and 2, she'll continue to attack you, so you gotta hang back. That is not the time you wanna die or get killed. Get her pretty good there, and yeah, just go right in for the kill. And that's it. We defeated her. Run in, finish her off. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope this video was helpful. If there was a particular tip that helped you, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Or if there's something that you did to beat Laxasia that you think that others would benefit from, be sure to let me know that in the comments as well. We're all in this together, and sometimes it really does take a village to defeat some of these hard bosses. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.